So last rant brought up this rant. I get that WILKS in powerlifting, Roby and Sinclair and weightlifting all make a difference in terms of comparing who lifts more than who by weight class. Why don't you just try to lift more weight? Quit worrying about, oh, my body weight this and my blah, blah, blah this. Man, when somebody says, like, ask you, like, that doesn't know lifting, they're like, well, they don't ask what's your WILKS. They ask what's your total. Really, they ask what's your bench. That's the only one that really matters is how much can you bench. Because 99% of the population doesn't give a hoot about what your WILKS, your total, your coefficient. They don't even know what all that means. If somebody asks you about lifting and they're not a lifter, they ask how much do you bench. Everybody asks that. If you're talking to lifters, I don't go up to somebody, so what's your WILKS? I don't even know my own WILKS from when I powerlifted. I don't even know there was a thing. I guess it existed because there were some meets that gave out money, and I guess it was based off WILKS. But when I was powerlifting, now I was not a great powerlifter. I was very average. In my day, though, when I came into powerlifting, when geared powerlifting was in its heyday, or a little on the tail end of its heyday, man, when I came into powerlifting and I started learning about it, the only thing people talked about was total. What's your total? What was the best total of all time? What was the highest total in each weight class? Who was the first person to total 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 3,000? Who was the first to do that? And then also, like, who is the lightest guy to squat 1,000? So it wasn't like, oh, what's the WILKS with that number, with your squat number? It was people push the numbers and not the freaking WILKS. Push the numbers. The WILKS will take care of itself, because if you actually factor in your WILKS and you go play with the numbers, yeah, lifting more matters more than you dropping your body weight. There are some weird calculations where it does obviously have its optimal places, but the people who lift the most typically have better WILKS if you haven't put that together. But man, I would love to see powerlifting get back to pushing the numbers. How many people do we have totaling over this? How many people do we have lifting this? How many females are deadlifting 500 pounds in a meet? How many are deadlifting 400, right? Oh man, it's cool when you're like, man, I went to a meet and 15 guys squatted over 1,000 pounds. Get back to geared lifting and you'll see that more. You said, well, right now, raw lifting. How many meets do you go to? And I'm trying to think. We just wrapped up the Hickory Classic. I was actually there, the USPA Hickory Classic in October, and I'm trying to think of there was only a handful of guys, that were squatting over 6. I think the top squat of the meet was 8. I tell you what, watch somebody load up over 1,000. No offense to people squatting 800 raw or in reps. I can't do it. No offense, it's awesome. But there's a little bit different adrenaline when somebody says 1,000 pounds on the bar. Same with benches. I've been around guys benching over 900. There's a different adrenaline and intensity in the air when you get to that point. And I want people to think more about the numbers, not the freaking WILKS. That would be a request I would have for powerlifters. Beat a record board. We have one in the gym, and I tell you what, it's driven some of our lifters, it's pushed some of our lifters to want to get on a record board. Train for the number. We don't have a WILKS record board up in the gym. We don't have a chart that says what's your WILKS. We have what's your squat, bench, deadlift, and total. For weightlifting, nobody really if you're not Olympic level, no one cares about Roby points. I still go back and use Sinclair when I calculate out anything. I guess they're now using the Roby because there's an easy online calculator, but it's never going to matter for 99% of the population. So how about right now, my best weightlifting total is 291 kilos. I'd love to hit 300. I don't know how many Sinclair points. I don't even care what body weight I lifted at. I just want to hit that number. Actually, I want to hit 310. I want to snatch 140 and clean and jerk 170. Those are goal numbers of mine. I don't have a goal Sinclair. I don't care where I place I don't even care where I place in a weightlifting meet, because I know I'm not that great of a weightlifter. Most of us, if we look at a bell curve, most are in the middle, which means most of us are average. It means most of us aren't going to be winning best overall lifter. So if you ever do win best overall lifter, you're a small portion of the population. You're on the outlier end of that bell curve. To be the best lifter on the day via WILKS, chances are you won your weight class. Chances are you were one of the top totals male or female of the meet, regardless of weight class. I mean, I think if you go back, there's guys that are totaling 2,000. They're definitely in raw. They're in the top 5 in terms of WILKS. There might be a guy that totaled 1,800 at 198, but I mean, it's different when somebody's weighing 308. So yes, that's where WILKS matters. But shoot, I know that 198er is thinking, I want to total 2,000. I hope they're thinking I want to total 2,000 one day. I guess hopes and dreams, and not really a rant. It is a little rant. I'm ranty. It's already 6 minutes in of rants for powerlifting, I guess. Weightlifting doesn't really matter in the Highland Games. Doesn't really matter in strongman. All anybody cares about in Highland Games is who's thrown the farthest ever. Most of it's Spencer Tyler, or the highest ever. Strongman is who's done the most. No one, I guess they do have a lightweight strongman under 231. There is a lightweight Highland Games, but when somebody says world record in those events, it's the most ever done. Not by federation, it's the most ever done. What's the world record log press? We know Zadrunas Savickas, X pounds. What's the heaviest Atlas stone ever lifted? We know Brian Shaw, X pounds. It's not, 231, the most he's ever done is 400 or blah, blah, blah. No, it's none of that. It is, what's the world record in the elephant bar deadlift? We know that. We know those definitive answers for what's the most ever done in that event. Highland Games, furthest to heavyweight's been thrown, furthest to lightweight's been thrown. We know those numbers. We have barriers. There's number barriers. Nobody wants to say, what body weight was he at? No one gives a shit. Oops, there's a cuss word. I slipped up finally. So, 7 minutes in rant.